When did someone challenge you at something you were an expert at? Kinda the reverse, for me. I'm a physical education teacher, and I had a student that took a pretty bad tumble in class. Hit her head on the wall. Pretty clear concussion symptoms. So we get her stable, call mom and dad to come get her. Dad shows up, and I start going through the concussion symptoms and treatments with him. Letting him know that a doctor's visit is probably in order. Blah blah blah. I keep going on and on about concussions. He just politely nods and thanks me. He takes daughter and leaves, and I see my principal standing behind me, and he can barely contain his laughter. Turns out dad is an emergency room doctor, and he just sat there while his daughter's gym teacher gave him medical advice. Medieval Fire, 2002. Carney running the fencing game picks me out of the crowd for being tall and challenges me to a free bout against the master. Not a lot of people fence, so his gambit probably worked most of the time. But when he handed me that saber, I handed him his ass. It happens a lot lately. I'm a microbiologist, so the number of people who have suddenly taken an interest in the subject in order to be confidently wrong about it is pretty upsetting. While I was in high school, I was the reigning city fencing champion in both the youth and adult tournaments. My high school decided to do a school-wide fencing unit for phys ed, and the coach they brought in to teach all of the students was my actual coach. During my classes, my coach naturally brought me up to help demonstrate the various moves, but for some reason one of my classmates didn't understand that I wasn't chosen at random. He started talking crap about how I looked like I didn't know what I was doing, and how he could probably kick my ass in a duel. Now, he actually was pretty good for a guy who'd never fenced before, and at the first opportunity to actually have a bout, he decided to have a go at me. I picked him apart and did not give up a single touch, and used the opportunity to practice my parry and ripostes. I admit, I took a bit of sadistic pleasure in thoroughly beating him. Afterwards, my coach made a point of congratulating the other guy for doing so well against the city champ, which changed his attitude considerably. I have been wrapping my family's Christmas presents since a very young age. It's the perfect activity to focus my crippling perfectionism with my overall anxiety-riddled self to create a beautiful masterpiece that would make anyone think twice about discovering the mysteries beneath the colorful paper and bows. I have just always loved to do it, and my mom was more than happy to not spend hours wrapping presents. Flash forward to the company Christmas party in my late 20s. We are split into teams to compete for random prizes. I'm up for the next game. I had no idea what I would be doing. I see a big cardboard box, a necktie, wrapping paper, scissors, tape and a bow. I know what's about to go down, and I'm here for it. It's a blind present wrapping challenge. My competitors start talking about how they can wrap presents fast, and I sit there silently staring down that cardboard box knowing fully that the crowd is in for a show. Blindfolds, neckties, go on. We have a partner that isn't blindfolded that is supposed to give verbal directions. Just before the timer starts, I lean over to my partner and say quietly, "Are you ready for this?" And she just say, "What?" Bam, timer starts. Partner tries to give directions at first and quickly realizes I'm way ahead of her. Before anyone else can even get their paper cut, I've got my box wrapped, taped, and bound. I even folded the ends in back. Fancy to have the triangles meet. And that, my friends, is how I earned the most satisfying $10 Starbucks gift card of my life, and earned the title of Wrap Master. Color. It sounds weird, but anytime the color of something comes up and someone tries to correct me, I've been a commercial printing press operator for 20 years. I can spot very subtle differences in colors that most people can't. By no means an expert, I'd probably rate in the 1500s, but I've played chess since I was a small child and was the best player in the middle school chess club. The guy who owned the pool hall me and my juvenile delinquent friends hung out in was talking about how dumb kids are these days, and said he bet nobody in my group of hoodlums could play chess. I beat him soundly, then again in the rematch. My father-in-law challenged me about the capabilities of DVD Specifically, he claimed that you could only have widescreen video, not 4:3, on a DVD disc. At the time I was employed as a DVD author. I authored the very first commercially available feature on Scenarist. I'm literally acknowledged in the first edition of DVD Demystified as an expert. I had already by that time personally authored literally hundreds of DVDs with 4:3 video. He knew all of the above at the time, yet still insisted I was wrong. The property management company for my homeowners association insisted that I had received emails that I never received. So I asked them to prove that I had received them. They said they are sure I received them. I'm a software engineer, and at the time I had just finished an enterprise email delivery system, like an in-house constant contact. I knew the rules of the Canned Spam Act by heart. I knew exactly how their system worked. So this real B of a property manager said I know how email works. You wouldn't understand. I mentally did the arrogant knuckle crack and started to explain, very methodically, how email delivery works and how they track various actions. I spent about 5 minutes detailing my credentials and why I was absolutely certain they had never sent me the emails they alleged I received. When I was finished, the HOA board just agreed to waive the fines. My father trying to explain to me how computers and the internet work after he's called me over to figure out why his computer and internet aren't working. Edit. Spoiler. It was because my mom downgraded their TV package and they must have accidentally turned off the audio Wi-Fi since the video Wi-Fi was still working for needed edit. My dad's understanding of electronics stopped evolving in the 1990s. He knows that plugging the DVD player in involves a 3-pronged cable, 2 for audio, 1 for video. I'm guessing he thinks the internet works the same way. So being able to see YouTube but not hear it means that the audio stream is out because the cable company and also Trump somehow, and it is certainly not the fault of his ridiculously complicated home stereo setup that requires 4 remotes to operate. I used to play fighting games competitively all over the world. Never made one of the top slots, but I could usually hold my own. One of my best game was Super Street Fighter 2. Went to a bar by work one day and they just so happened to have an SNES set up with SF2. I order a drink, pick random characters and just frick around for a bit. Some guy comes in and immediately starts bragging to his date that he's the best SF2 player ever. I asked him to play some games against me and offered to buy him a drink if he could beat 2 out of 3. 12 games later I'm completed hammered and he finally gives up and leaves. Still don't remember getting home that night. A beginning writer asked some advice about a basic drafting method, so I offered my point of view. Some tough guy decided to butt in and say that what I said was proof I'm not a real writer, and it was obvious I would never be published. At that time, the second or third book in my trilogy was about to be released. I asked the guy not to tell my editor that I wasn't a real writer. Not quite this, but I tried to learn piano years ago. I bought a keyboard and learned the first movement of Moonlight Sonata, but it was literally all I could play. I had just started a new job as a chef in a fancy hotel, had been there maybe a month, and was at the Christmas party. I sat at a piano and the head chef pointed me out, laughing and said, "Look at Spliff Lizard, you can't play the piano." I thought I'll just act confident and play the only thing I can, so was like, "Yeah, I can. I've played 4 years," and he said, "Oh really? Play Moonlight Sonata then. Couldn't have gone better." He was gobsmacked, and I never told anyone there that I was actually crap at piano, except that one song, lol. I'm no expert, but people never assume I can play pool. I grew up with my parents going to the pub, so as an early teen would play a lot of pool and got pretty good. There's been a number of occasions where I've got us a round of drinks or stuck it to some knob who's hogging the table. My old roommate once told my uncle all about wine. She didn't know that he teaches classes about wine. He was a real good sport about it. My roommate who took a Psych 101 class at a prestigious university told me, a master's level therapist, that the movie Split with James McAvoy was an accurate depiction of multi-personality disorder. That's it for now. Thank you for watching the video. Leave your comments below. See you soon.